In the 80s, you had Candy LaBeija. She was the token big girl. You had Monica Extravaganza, which was the token Spanish big girl. Then coming into the 90s, you had Sandy Dior.
I love Sandy down, honey. Sandy is the original big girl for the House of Mizrahi. Like I said in that live, Miss Thing. She is that, Miss Thing.
Miss Thing, y'all never seen a clip when Sandy Dior, when she snatched her wig off, bitch, and she was doing it and was going to the side.
Got the right bitch, no lefty. Walking my truth, don't fuck with my step team. Crawl for you, walk, run it, catch me. Got a sharp tongue, spit it, machete. It's time for a Ballroom History 101 highlight. Because of the huge impact that she had on the community in the city, many people assumed that Sandy was from Baltimore. But Sandy was actually from Bushwick, New York. Sandy began participating in ballroom in 1986, first joining the House of Pendavis, then Bijan, then Chanel, then Richards. But Sandy made her name when she joined the House of Mizrahi in 1993. Sandy quickly became known as the Mizrahi's first femme queen. By the mid-90s, throughout ballroom, Sandy was known as one of the girls who you would have to see on the runway, and she wasn't going to make it easy for you. Sandy mastered the categories of Old Way, Femme Queen Performance, Femme Queen Realness, and Femme Queen Runway. And during the height of her popularity, Sandy decided to venture out and start her own house family. Along with a mysterious, dramatic Butch Queen performer, Sandy and Mystery started the House of Dior in 1995. Sandy was very stern in protecting her family and her house's name from the ballroom shade and politics. And with that stern, heavy hand, Sandy quickly began being known in ballroom as the female Suge Knight. Her name on the floor quickly became a popular name in the streets. It was during this time that Sandy sparked a friendship with Dana Owens of Club Buns in Baltimore. Allegedly, Sandy was deemed a menace to society in New York. It is rumored that officials and law enforcement urged Sandy to leave New York. Regardless, Sandy did flee the city and left for Baltimore, Maryland. In Baltimore, Sandy quickly developed a family and her house grew very fast. Sandy's house, her actual residence, began being known in Baltimore as a hub for exiled and abandoned queer youth. All of the queer kids were welcomed at Sandy's for a bite to eat or a place to stay, whether or not they were official member of the House of Dior. Sandy brought the House of Dior to Baltimore in 96, but by 2000, Dior was one of the premier houses in the Baltimore ballroom scene. During this time, Sandy also nurtured her friendship with Dana Owens of Club Buns, and together they helped solidify Club Buns as a staple in the ballroom scene. Not long after she began carving the name Dior into ballroom history, Sandy was arrested for manslaughter. Rumor has it that Sandy was leaving an after-hour spot. In Baltimore, it's common for the after-hour spots to be integrated between the queers and the straights. While leaving the venue, Sandy was approached by a man. The man was flirting with Sandy and asked her for a number. Sandy claims that the man overreacted after she admitted that she was trans. By Sandy's own admission, she claimed that the man punched her, knocked her down, and she responded with a blade. Ultimately, Sandy defending herself with the blade would result in the man losing his life. During Sandy's incarceration is when I was introduced to the House of Dior. During that time, Demetrius was the father of the Baltimore chapter. Dana and Misty were the mothers. Sandy left her oldest kids to run the house while she was away. After her release, Sandy returned to what she knew: mothering queer kids and the ballroom scene. However, Sandy wanted to do it differently this time. Instead of her focus being on the ballroom floor, Sandy became more focused in helping her children excel at life. Sandy also began her wellness journey, beginning with her own fight against substance abuse. Sandy became a house manager and peer counselor for Divine Light, a substance abuse recovery center that focuses on the LGBTQ population. In 2019, Sandy left the House of Dior and turned it over to her daughter, Honeycomb. Between the years of 2019 and 2021, Sandy was one of the mothers in the House of Machiavelli. And along with her iconic legendary status, in 2022, Sandy was deemed the matriarch of the House of Mizrahi. Sandy is no longer with us physically, but her legacy lives on. Sandy was one of the leaders in the Big Girls movement. Because of her and her cohort, we now have categories specifically for plus-size girls.
Unfortunately, I got here a little late, and I was being honored to be introduced into the Ballroom Hall of Fame tonight. But I did make it. I'm here,
right.
And I love Baltimore City, period.
Right, this is your city, right?
Well, I'm originally from New York.
But you live here, right?
But I lived here, taking care of family.
Right, right.
My children are all grown now, so I can focus back on me. Now it's time for me to party again.
So
I know they want me back, so I'm here.
We've been wanting you back.
Once upon a time, they used to call me the female Suge Knight of the ballroom scene.
Well,
I don't know why.
Because you know you're a stern set. You know you don't play. Everybody know that.
Well, I'm just me.
Right, right.
But what I have a problem with is, it's more like politics now.
Right.
And some people will chop you just because they think that you're someone else's friend or that they don't like. And I came tonight just for that reason. Because, we're not like that. The House of Dior, we are not a house, we're family first. And I teach my children that you make the house don't make you. And I appreciate them whenever they got a chance to walk for me. About me, I'm easygoing, no one knows that. Don't believe everything you hear, but mostly everything you see. And once and for all, I love my family from North Carolina to New York to Baltimore to Atlanta to Delaware to LA. Where all my children are, I love them all. I mothered so many people. I've been doing this since '86 because my children, they're very well groomed. Everyone who's ever been a Dior, we start from scratch. We never took anyone from anyone's house. We don't go around asking other children, do you want to join that house? Because I think that's tacky.
It is.
I makes the best. Plain and simple, I'm back. And my thing is, I don't have time for all that talking and riff-raff. We call it tongue wrestling in North Carolina. My thing, take off the pump, take off the heels,